Welcome to Nobody Knows with Joey Johnson, powered in part by Deep Wax Productions and Classic of Denton.
Well, it's Wednesday, 5:30. You know what that means?
What does that mean?
That means that we're on the air, on the internet waves right now, Richard.
Denton Radio.
DentonRadio.com. Yes, your favorite show, Nobody Knows. I believe episode, I'm going to ask Jake like I do every time, is this 33? Is this, sure?
That didn't seem very definite. I thought it was 34. I'm going to put 34.
You think it was 34? Okay, well, we are on an episode, and it's happening right now. This is the portion of the show where we thank our lovely sponsors and all that they do. Rich, who is our sponsor today and always and forever?
It is Deep Wax Productions.
That is right. Deep Wax Productions, brought to you by the Mad Dabber himself, Mr. Mark Zimmerman. Deep Wax is a collective, essentially a production, show-running promotions company that puts on all types of events, shows, benefits, all throughout the area to promote artists, musicians, comedians, and thus, again, ran by Mr. Mark Zimmerman. Check him out on Instagram at Deep Wax and Deep Wax Productions on Facebook. Talked to Mark today. He didn't really have any shows for us to plug upcoming, but look them up. They always have things going, even tiny things. You know, I mean, he paid me today to Facebook Live me eating that gummy ghost pepper.
So it's like
from
a charity / just another.
Yeah. As a charity, he paid a lonely, broken comedian to eat the spiciest piece of candy I've ever consumed.
It was pretty spicy.
Yeah, it was terrible.
Can we say what it was?
It was a gummy ghost pepper from Atomic Candy.
Ghost pepper.
Oh, a ghost pepper.
You didn't even think about that while you were eating
I didn't even think about that. That's entirely appropriate. Well, why is that appropriate today, Richard?
Because today we have
Shelly Tucker, from Ghosts of Denton. She does the ghost tours around the Denton Square and I believe other areas of town. And so, yeah, we have an awesome episode for you guys. But don't forget to check out Deep Wax, an amazing sponsor. And they pay us to do whatever it is that we do. And, Classic of Chevrolet, too. They do that thing also. So, okay. Yeah. You ready?
Yes.
All right. All right.
I forgot to get people to say Nobody Knows Joey Johnson at the end. So at the end of this, let's just say that a bunch.
They'll just keep saying it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this is episode whatever it is, and we have Shelly Tucker, and you guys are in for a treat. So, yeah, thanks for tuning in.
Hey, what's up? It's Richie with Denton Radio. I'm here with
Jose
and
Amber.
And do y'all believe in ghosts?
Yes.
Because
I think we're just not the only ones here. I feel like there's also a spiritual nature around us.
And you?
Stories. I hear a lot of ghost stories, and I just believe it.
And that is pretty crazy, right?
Yeah.
Have you seen a ghost?
No, but I've seen spheres in pictures.
Have you felt a ghost? Oh, you're a photographer.
Oh no. I guess. Yeah.
What about you? Have you seen a ghost or had any weird experiences?
I've had one weird experience.
Let's hear it.
So my grandparents live near a cemetery. One
Okay.
night I was sleeping at their house, and I just saw a gray shadow in the middle of the night, and I thought
While you were asleep?
Yeah, and I thought it was one of my family members, but it wasn't.
That's crazy. I had a friend. She was making a sandwich and she took the bread out, and then she swears she went and took a nap, and then when she came back, the sandwich was made.
What?
That's pretty crazy.
That's crazy.
But what about you? What's the craziest thing that you've experienced with ghosts?
Craziest thing? I mean, I went to Mexico once, and I've seen a floating red orb.
What was it?
I don't know. It was just out in the fields, and it was really dark out. And I'm like, why is there light on the fields?
Did you take any pictures of it?
No, I couldn't take a picture of it. I just remembered it.
But you've also seen orbs in pictures?
Yeah.
That you've taken?
Yeah. So I've read somewhere that certain colored orbs mean something.
That's cool.
How creepy that can
be. What do you think the most common misconception about people have about ghosts are?
I guess that you can just see them at night. I mean, you can also see them during the day.
I agree.
Cool. Hey, what's up? It's me, Richie, with Denton Radio. I'm with
Randy Johnson.
Yo, Randy, how are you doing today?
Doing well. How are you?
Pretty good. Question. How do you feel about ghosts?
I feel they're spooky.
Have you ever had a ghost?
Have I ever had a ghost?
Have you ever had a ghost come around?
I don't think so, man.
No?
I don't think so.
Do you know anybody who's had a ghost story?
I've heard about it, but the people were kind of crazy, so I don't know how legit it was.
I know a girl, and she told me that she was making a sandwich at this like house that had like a creaky, like really, it was really creaky. And she was making a sandwich, and she left the bread there, and then she went to go take a nap, and when she came back, the sandwich was made.
Oh, shit.
Ghost?
I think so, yeah.
Probably Ghost.
Yeah.
All right,
Thanks,
thank you.
man. Cool. Thanks, man.
Hey, what's up? It's Richie Flo with Den Radio. I'm with
Joey,
and
his brother Jake,
and
Emily.
do y'all believe in ghosts?
Yes.
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 Have y'all all personally had a ghost experience?
Maybe.
Maybe.
I would say it was more felt than seen.
And you?
Yeah.
It was the same or different time?
It was like, it was a presence, but it was, I could hear, I mean, I have multiple different ones.
How many times have you been, we're calling it ghosted?
So whenever I was younger, it was like supposedly we were living on like an Indian burial ground.
Yeah.
And there was one time me and my friend, we both heard like weird tribal drums in the woods. And there's like no one that lives out there. And it was
Well, what
late
do you
at
think it
night.
was?
I don't know.
Jumanji?
Jumanji?
It could have been like a game of Jumanji somewhere out there.
Yeah. Seemed.
But ghosts too.
Okay.
Hey.
There you go. Interviewing people about ghosts.
That's the people.
Is that a true story about the sandwich?
Yeah, actually, I went to a Halloween party, and everybody had like a ghost story, and they were all like really, really scary. But the one that everyone was like so freaked out about was this girl that said that she like.
I feel like you can't believe someone giving you a ghost story in Halloween. That's like going to your, like a wedding with
No,
your
no, but
girlfriend and
that's-
her being like, "I love you," and you're
No,
like,
that's when you bring it up. I think most of all.
Okay.
But so I remember
It's
like
prevalent.
I remember going home and my friend was like, all those ghost stories were interesting, but the sandwich one, like, what do you think that was? And then someone else was like, yeah, the sandwich one. And I was like, that's crazy that's the one that stuck out. There was another one about like some girl was like by a well that some girl like passed away like 10 years
Okay.
ago or something. And
It's always a well. There's
Yeah.
always a well.
And then like I was like, whoa, that's crazy to me. But the sandwich one like stuck. And even when I said it to those people, they were like, what? Like,
Have
You
you
like
ever have you ever experienced a ghost experience? Have you ever had a
I don't know.
paraphernalia experience?
I
I
don't
don't
know.
think that's the word. Also,
I don't know.
paranormal. You don't know?
I'm not really sure.
You're very ghostly. Not even in your years in magic. There's no.
I don't know how aware I am to that
Yeah.
to ghosts. Like I think if I was more, I think it's ghost astute.
Okay. Well, before we bring our guest in today, what have you been up to? This is the part where we ask you what has Richie been doing?
I've been working on my vlog. Been working on my channel. Been working on making
Your
beats.
vlog. What is a vlog?
My vlog is my flow vlog.
So it's a vlog named
Yeah.
after you. So it's a vlog.
It's a vlog.
What is a vlog for people that don't know?
It's
For
a
the listeners that
video
have no idea.
log. It's like a blog.
Okay, so it's like a YouTube.
So people who don't know what any of those are gonna have a
yeah,
hard
you're
time,
not.
But
So it's like you have a YouTube channel.
yes.
You sit in front of a camera. You've been filming stuff all throughout the week, and it's essentially you chop and edit it to show people what you did with
Yeah.
your week, right?
So essentially, I'll take a video or a picture. Like right now, I'm gonna do this because I need to make sure that we're here.
Okay, and this
Hey,
would go on.
ladies and
This would go on the
gentlemen.
vlog.
This is what the vlog
This
is.
is the vlog next week.
This is next week's vlog.
Okay,
Like,
okay.
Oh, I remember that from Den Radio.
Right. All right. All right.
But it's just a chance for me to tell people what I did during the week.
yeah,
And if they care, they watch it.
for all your
And guess
admiring
what?
fans.
My subscribers are climbing.
Really?
I'm at 24.
There you go. There you go. 20 week 2 at 24. Hey, that's 12 a week. There you go.
My goal is 130 in 3 months.
Oh,
So
okay.
if I'm
think
obviously
I think
going to be.
you could break
Yeah,
that
I set
threshold.
low goals, and I always am success. That's why I'm one of the biggest success stories.
Oh my God! Stop. Okay.
We won't talk
All
about
right. So we have a clip of the vlog here that Jake's gonna play. So yeah.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Richie Flo. This is my bunny rabbit, Milborn, and this is my vlog.
And yeah,
That
it's
was
a tiny,
me.
That was a tiny bit. Oh yeah, we can't play the rest because you're wearing a shirt with words on it. Way to really mess all that up.
Well, I do have some shirts.
So that really gave us 0 bit of a taste. So,
but you can imagine the quality is very.
The quality's great. It's like, but it's like that. Like you're sitting in front of the camera, just you and your buddy, and then you're describing what's happening with your week.
And you know what? Maybe people don't care right now.
How's the reaction been? Yeah, has there been one?
Yeah, people tell me they like it. Jake likes it.
Jake likes it, so that counts for something. So one person told you they liked it.
2 or 3 people. No, I mean I don't know. It's a weird thing because
it's something. It's like one of those things. It's
not
like a comedy
this.
act or like a magic act. It's something you got to build. Build the following, build the content.
It's not like this where we're like talking to each other because it's just me, and I usually wait till nobody's around, and I'm like,
Isn't that tough though? I mean, because every day you have to be aware of, I should get this for the vlog. You're kind of, you're like a Black Mirror episode right now. You can't live your best.
I love Black Mirror.
You can't Black Mirror. You can't live your best episode or your best episodes. You can't live your best moments in life right now because you got to record them. You're living them through the phone screen, man.
It's for other people. My life is for other people right now.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
But
the ultimate sacrifice of
but it's cool because it's a vlog. Makes sense.
Does it? All right. Well, so what else has been going on before we bring on, I guess? Anything else?
Just magic. I got a bunch of magic private shows. I got some.
You should have brought a trick today.
I know.
You haven't done a trick on the show in a while.
Maybe.
Anything here that you could use on the table?
I don't think I'm allowed to say the H word.
Not that magic.
We'll work on it.
All right. So, I guess we'll go ahead and get our guests in here, right? I think we already talk enough, you and I. I feel like, right now we're just forcing conversation right now.
Could be guests. She did say she might have brought some ghosts along
with her. So, yeah, we'll get Shelly in here, and we'll be right back. Attempting. All right. And we are back. Video, yes. Oh, my goodness. And everyone, we have Shelly Tucker with us here today. Hand applause, obligatory hand applause into the microphone.
Thank you.
Yes. How are you doing today?
You're a legend.
Wonderful. Yeah, I'm a legend in my own mind.
Well, thank you for joining us. We normally, like a lot of this show, with me doing stand-up, Richie doing a jack of all trades. We have a lot of different people on, but it's a lot of like comics, a lot of musicians. If you mind telling the listeners who you are and who is Shelly Tucker, and why would we have you on today? I guess if that makes sense. Other than you're great.
I just totally blanked.
Yeah. Who am I?
Who am I? I don't know. That's a
question. Existential. You got to reach deep
Pretty
for that one.
Deep.
Who are you, and what is the meaning of life?
I'm a professional storyteller, and that has been my job since long before you were born.
Right.
And for many, many years, I traveled around Texas telling stories in schools and at museums and libraries.
Okay.
Ghost stories were always my favorite.
Right. Okay.
And so about 5 years ago, I began telling stories around the square, ghost stories.
Yeah.
Has it only been 5 years?
The ghost tours.
It's probably been longer, but I'm trying to think younger.
The ghost tours in Denton
ghost
that
tours.
you do.
Yes.
So you've been
Ghosts
doing
of
that
Denton.
5 years now. How often are those? What are those?
Well, until this winter, they were year-round on Friday and Saturday night. Plus, if somebody wanted to do a private tour and had 6 people, I would leave my house to do that.
Okay, wow.
But right now I'm doing
on
private
call,
tours.
essentially.
Yeah. Right now I'm doing private tours through the winter because winter is dead time for ghost tours.
Yeah. It's a lot of, I guess, a lot of it's outside.
Yeah, Texans don't like to get outside in the cold unless there's a football.
How is
And I don't have a football ghost.
You don't have a football ghost. Not yet.
I'm going to have to work on that.
Not yet. Yeah.
Ghosts are always warm though because they're made out of sheets, essentially.
No, every time
Sheets are cold.
yeah, and every time in the ghost store, if you're around a ghost presence, you get a chill. That's what you get.
Oh, that is true.
So storytelling. So Halloween, I'm assuming though, that's a pretty busy time, right, for the ghost stores?
Yeah, October is crazy.
It's crazy. It's insane. Make a lot of the. So you've been telling stories for a very long time. You said you were partial to ghost stories. Like, why was that? Did you have a personal paranormal experience or something that drew you to?
I was an early reader, and I used to read Edgar Allan Poe.
Oh, okay, yeah.
When I was in the third grade
Right.
at Cannon Elementary, I was reading Edgar Allan Poe, and I'd translate it into the language that I spoke back then. I spoke third grade Texan, and I'd tell these stories to my friend, and I was telling all these stories, and I became the most popular girl in the third grade. Yeah, I got invited to every slumber party.
And every bonfire, every spooky bonfire.
So I'd tell stories.
Awesome.
They made me leave when I was finished, but I got to go.
It's it's a lost thing, storytelling. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
it's still around. You're still doing it, but with like so much accessible, just like media and like entertainment in the palm of like your hand. Like that's something like people used to do.
And people still like. I feel like they have a thirst for stories. You know what I mean? That's
About 20 years ago, in Irving, I combined music and storytelling at a venue.
Okay, wow.
And I would bring in different local musicians and
Are you a
bring
musician?
no.
Okay.
But I knew a lot of them. And bring in other storytellers, and people said, this is so fantastic. You could lose the music and we just want to hear the story. Because it is a lost art. And for many years, I always complained because if I told them I was a storyteller, they thought that I read to children.
Right.
No, I don't. It's a performance.
Yeah,
really.
absolutely.
Is it a little different every time?
Yeah. Every audience changes the story because, and even out here on the ghost tour, I mean, I know the stories, but it depends on, are you all hugging each other and scared? Then we'll do it this way. Are you laughing and having a good time? We'll do it that way.
Right.
And you know that you're used to interpreting audiences.
Yeah, reading a room essentially. That's what you're doing.
And so people either thought that I was going to read books to children or tell a ghost story, and I'm like, no. And now I'm telling ghost stories. But there you go.
So do a lot of these, because I see you have a book here with you.
Yes.
I'm assuming this is a book you wrote, right?
This is Ghosts of Denton, and it's available here.
I thought you were going to say this is a book you've read.
It's a book I've read.
Hey, have you read this book?
No, this is available here.
Okay.
At the Welcome Center.
Awesome.
And it's a collection of just a few of the stories.
Okay, do these stem from like actual people or events, or?
Well, the stories that I tell on the tour all really begin when somebody says, "Hey, ghost lady, I was in such and such a place,
right,
and I felt this, or heard that, or I saw this." And then I get real curious, and I want to know the history of the place.
Yeah.
I want to know who was there. Anything
Look
that I
deeper
can find.
into it.
Yeah. And there are great places to dig here in Denton. In the courthouse, we have a museum that has a resource room where people have donated their diaries, their letters, their pictures.
Okay.
You can go and dig in that.
Yeah.
So be really careful what you write in your diary because
Right.
50 years from now, somebody's going to be
in a
reading.
time capsule
Yeah.
in the courthouse.
Or you can go to the Emily Fowler Library, which is
Right.
haunted in itself, and they keep vertical files of ephemera, the newspaper clippings and letters and all kinds of stuff. And they have some great both folklore, which is what ghost stories come under, and history.
Right.
And then there's interviewing people, and we've got some great books about Denton, and
So
you just dig and dig.
Do you ever adapt like old stories? Because like when we're saying like storytelling is like a lost art kind of a thing, because like said, people used to get around and they would tell stories specifically about an event or a person or something that happened. Then it gets passed down to that next generation. Then they tell that story and it gets bigger and bigger, right? Like this person, that's how like Paul Bunyan became a thing, you know,
Right,
stuff
right.
like that. So do you ever kind of like pick up someone else's story and kind of embellish on it in a sense?
The stories here that I'm telling are basically what I've been given
Yeah.
with some historical and some context about who
Some
I think,
actual research behind them.
And I don't. People always ask about the Goat Man. I mean,
Yeah,
every
That's the
time,
famous one.
I have it written down.
Stop it. Every time there's a new semester at the colleges, I get call after call of students who want to interview me for their newspaper.
They
Yeah.
think they're breaking new ground.
Yeah, and
Right,
I'm
right.
like, no, because
No, I've been here.
the Goat Man, I spent more than a year doing some research on that, going through old census records and so forth. And what you find online is that Oscar Washburn, and I forget the year now, is it 1938? He was murdered by the Ku Klux Klan. He was
Right.
lynched.
He was
Well,
selling
there
goats
was
and making
no
a lot of money or something.
There was no Oscar Washburn in Denton County
What?
in the censuses between 1850
So it's all a
and
hoax.
1940. And so
That's the man who was allegedly hung, Oscar Washburn. Okay.
So if there was a Goat Man, somebody made up a new name.
Yeah.
And there was no lynching out there. A lynching would have made news
Right.
in 1938.
Yeah.
So basically, once things get on the internet,
Oh, it goes.
then it's in stone.
Just like this
right?
show.
This is this is just absolutely true.
Well, I mean, I guess I saw something about a while back. They had pictures online with Travel Channel something. Is that the same?
And I will tell you that was it Ghost Adventures were coming to film there, and
That's a TV show,
their
right?
and their historian called me. And I told him what I just told you. I've done all this research. The library has done this research. The museum has done this research. There was no Oscar Washburn. He said, I know. There was
they
no
still
Ku
did
Klux
it.
Klan. I know. But they did a Ku Klux Klan number out there because that would
Because
sell
that would sell. Exactly. That would push. And I think a lot of that has to do with, and I'm sure you experience this, just like when you're like reading a room. Like when I go to a comedy club and I tell jokes, people are there because they want to laugh. With what you're doing, it's the same thing. People want to be scared. People want to believe. And that's
Right.
your job, is to relay that message. And I think that's just one of the things with Goat Mans. You know, you could tell 100 people, like, you know, you could show them the facts that Oscar Washburn wasn't a real thing, and they want to believe it.
Yeah.
You know, they want to disregard that whole thing because it's within the lore. Within storytelling, years and years down the road, and this
That's
thing
true.
became such a big thing, and now it's in stone on the internet, and now
Yes.
it's fact.
Well, the
apparently.
thing of it is, there have been enough researchers out there. We strongly, those of us who believe in ghosts, strongly do believe that the place is haunted. But the community of Alton used to be out there. Okay, and
because that's Old Alton Bridge, right? That's where it is.
and that was the county seat before Denton was, and so probably those people are hanging around.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
And but the scariest thing out there, a friend of mine took a picture of a print in the mud. It was a footprint of an alligator, and he had his foot beside it, and his foot was dwarfed by this. Showed it to Parks and Rec, and they said, "Oh, that's about an 800-pound gator."
Oh,
So-
wow! Maybe we have a Loch Ness
Ghosts
monster
and
situation
gators.
out there.
Gators and skeeters
You know,
out there. That's
that
what's
is
scary.
That is funny. Like the 4 years ago, maybe 5. Last time I ever went out there with like friends messing around, you know,
Taking
like
pictures.
night, like scared. The only scary thing that happened was we heard a big splash in the water, and no one had like.
It
thrown a
was
rock.
the
Might have been the
gator.
gator.
It was the gator.
Might have been, which is something
Well,
to do.
Wait, did all your
A second
friends come
ago-
home?
A second ago, you
the
said
Gator Man? Yeah,
you said us that believe in ghosts, so I'm assuming you do believe in ghosts.
I do, but I'm a skeptical believer.
Okay. Would it be
I-
weird if you didn't believe, but you still told the story? Do you think that would
No,
be weird?
I went to New Orleans, and a guy who took us around on the tour didn't believe in ghosts. The thing of it is, though, if I didn't believe in ghosts, I would not tell you that while I had you on the tour,
Right,
because
right.
I don't want
That
to
might
spoil
be.
it for
That
you.
actually might be a good angle, though.
but it's a form.
Hey, because I do magic shows, and I always tell people I'm not a very good magician, but I actually
well, you tell
I'm
people
pretty
it's not
decent.
magic.
and then
But
they
people
see
know
it,
that.
and they're like,
that's
"What?"
a thing, right? I mean, but see, with you, that's what's weird about magic is people, want to believe it's real because it's you, because you have this look,
And the whole
this
time I'm telling
cadence
them it's
about
not.
you. Yeah, and that's a bizarre thing. But
Have you got a disappearing act? We can make a killer ghost tour if you've got that.
there you go.
Yeah, I mean, I got I got everything. I'm working actually. I'm
The ghost of
I don't
Richie
want
Flo.
to say too much, but I'm actually working on like a seance show I want to do in Denton, just like a one time.
As long as you don't do Ouija boards, I'm okay.
No Ouija boards.
All right.
Ouija boards freak
Crazier.
me out. I don't
Yeah.
really. So do you believe in that then? Do you believe in demons then? That's
I
interesting. 'Cause
believe-
what's the difference? Do you know? I mean, within your
I
research.
don't know. When I die, I'll come back
Yeah.
and tell you.
Okay.
I mean, because when we say ghosts, I guess that's
Because,
true. I don't really
like
it's loose.
exorcism movies, it's not a ghost, right? It's
I mean,
supposed
I don't
to
know
be a
about
demon.
movies. I haven't seen that.
I know.
many.
I'm just saying. I'm basing it off.
Yeah,
facts.
Everyone
clearly.
is. That girl, I was like, "Well, you believe in stuff, right? You know why?" And the guy's like, "Well, because I've felt it before." And I asked the girl, and she said, "Well, because I've heard a bunch of stories and I've seen a bunch of movies, and I just believe it."
But
And I was
that's-
like, "That's cool, but what about like?" There's like ghost hunting shows and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that would be more like my evidence for like why.
Well,
or-
that's just a testament to, I think, again, people want to believe. Like when I said
well, like they also said about the Indian burial ground. I feel like, I mean, I don't know. He heard drums.
Can I just say that all of America is an Indian burial
Oh,
ground?
yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry.
we're all ghosts.
No, yeah.
No, I mean, but I think that's
I
a
wish I knew that
testament.
to tell that guy.
Wish I had her there. Hey, you want to start doing the interviews with him? That'd be great. No, but I think that's just a testament of like people want to believe. Like last time we went to Goatman's again, like 5 years ago, my most logical, sensical friend, the last person to like believe in any of that stuff out of probably all of us, was the one who thought he saw something. And we just turned a corner in the woods, and you're just spooked. Heard the splash in the water,
Sure.
and then your brain just starts going like.
Absolutely.
And I mean that's cool about what you're doing, and
But I think that's what's so strong. Imagine if I was like, I don't believe in ghosts at all, whatever. And then I give a tour and I'm like, wait, there's a ghost. And everyone's going to be like, well, he doesn't believe in ghosts, so there obviously must be one.
Well, in a lot of forms of live entertainment, and essentially that is what you do.
Yes.
People go to be entertained, to be scared. People love that. That's why haunted houses and horror movies are a thing. There almost has to be that facade. Like we said, like people know you're not magic, but they want to believe it. When I'm on stage doing my 15 minutes, people want to believe, oh, he's just funny on the spot. But I mean, I have an act. You know what I mean? You have like your story. Yeah, just like me. Words change and things change a bit.
And
it's
I've
just how
seen
read
you. I've seen you, doing it, your tour, and I feel like some people might be like, think they would go to be like argumentative and be like, oh, if I don't see something, I'm gonna. But I feel like it's a story, so you don't really give people the room to be like, there's no ghost, because you're not saying, hey, come to the tour and see a ghost. It's like, hey,
No.
come listen to these ghost stories
No.
while I show you the locations that they're at, which is like,
Do you get people like that want to be dismissive and they come to like almost like a heckler at a comedy show?
I've had a couple.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's just like a comedian learns to deal with hecklers.
Right. So how do
Yeah.
you deal with that in the ghost storytelling world? Like, what is the like? I have some things in the back pocket, like ready to like.
I slap them real hard.
Yeah,
she has a ghost.
you turn them into a ghost.
She has a
No.
ghost come and steal their belongings.
No. For the most part, I'm a little old lady. They're not gonna,
Yeah,
they're
a
not
lot
gonna
of
mess
people-
with me.
That's fair. That's fair. Most people want to mess with me. So okay, so Goatman's is
That's
bunk. So what? All right.
it may be haunted, but it's not a goat man.
So what do you think in your experience, if you can tell us, I don't know if it's part of a tour or the book, but like what do you think is the most haunted place in Denton?
It's hard to say the most haunted
Mm-hmm.
because I think it depends on time of year.
What are some right now that you hear about a lot of activity in?
The Opera House, which is recycled.
Recycled books, I can believe
I
that.
can see that.
creepy.
On a tour, about 20 people saw a book leap from a shelf. Okay. There was a partition behind it of cardboard. There was no one on the other side.
Wow.
The book jumped. Okay. And if I could make that ghost do that again, I'd have a killer tour.
See, this is why you have Richie, though.
Yeah.
You just have the magician.
There we
Let me
go.
know.
There we go.
Oh, have plans. Okay, there we go.
But yeah, that's one place that's got a lot of activity.
What about any others?
There's one.
I just need to know to be aware. I need to know where to stay away from.
There's one. Well, I'm going to preface this with maybe a story that someone told me,
Yeah,
because
please
there's
do.
a couple of stories that
Please do.
I want to tell you. Because you were noticing as you were interviewing people on the street that people would tell you a story, and that at Halloween people get together because it's a safe time to get to share stories.
Right.
Well, when people go around the square with me and I'm telling ghost stories, if they've had an experience, then they feel like they can talk to me. And a lot of times if I go to a club and I tell stories, like a club meeting here in town.
What do you mean by club meeting?
No, I don't. Like a book club
Oh,
or
okay,
something like that. No, I don't go to.
Storytellers Guild.
No,
or
I'm not
some
going to
sort
stand
of-
up in front of a bunch of people at a bar
Yeah.
and tell ghost
Yeah,
stories.
yeah, yeah.
Ghost Anonymous.
I told stories in bars when I first
Hey, I
started
have
telling
open mics.
stories.
Is there a ghost meetup? Is there like a meetup for like ghost stories?
I'm sure there probably is, but that would be a busman's holiday for me.
Yeah.
But I had gone to a meeting of a book club, and after I told them some Denton stories, I said, "Does anyone have a story that they'd like to share with me?" One woman told me a story that I just can't get my mind off of.
Okay.
She said that she was an emergency room doctor and worked nights on weekends.
Huh.
Hard job.
Yeah.
And she said she had
Very
worked at
strenuous.
she had worked at Presbyterian Hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And she said there was a doctor here in town, and she said, I don't want to give away too much because he's still got family here. But he was very well loved by everybody in town because he was very conscientious of his
Right.
patients. Doctors didn't do house calls anymore, but if you were sick at home and couldn't get to him, he would go to you. And if a different doctor admitted
school.
you to the hospital for something, he would go down even in the middle of the night on a weekend to check and make sure that the meds you were being given worked with what you already had.
Wow.
And so she was used to seeing him down there on weekends. Well, it had been a really bad Saturday night in Denton. There had been a knifing.
Like someone got stabbed with a knife?
Stabbed, yeah. Somebody had been
What did you
stabbed.
think a knifing was?
Like a cake thing?
Yeah, yeah. Somebody cut a cake. No.
I'm very...
Yeah, that's okay. I'm sorry.
Congratulations.
I'm very...
A stabbing is what I meant, Richie. Does that make you happy?
That doesn't make me happy.
There was
But
a
it's
stabbing.
clear.
in
Does that make you
Denton that
feel
night.
better,
Yes.
Richie? Someone was
Yes.
stabbed.
Someone was stabbed, and there had been a car accident that was really awful. 2 heart attacks.
Wow.
And she got called to do her least favorite part of her job, which would be to pronounce a patient dead. And she was really ripped about this.
Like,
walking
go and
down
tell
the
the
hall.
family.
Yeah, well, she had to first go say, yep, he died at
Right.
12:01.
Oh, wow.
So she was walking down the hall, and she was all dejected and glanced up and saw that kind-hearted doctor standing in the doorway. He was slumped down with his mask dangling off. He looked beat, too.
Right.
And they locked eyes, looked at each other, and nodded. She took about 3 steps, and the hair on the back of her neck stood up. She turned around to look, and he wasn't there. And she said, well, of course not, silly. Your mind is playing tricks on you. You're so tired. You went to his funeral last week. She went to pronounce a patient dead, picked up his chart, and he was a patient of that very kind doctor. And she looked at me and said, you tell me. Did he come back to try to save the man or try to help him cross over?
Wow.
Either way, he was helping.
I just got chills.
And she said, if you want to talk to people who do believe in ghosts, talk to a first responder
Yeah.
or a doctor or a nurse.
People that
because
are around.
They're there when the spirit leaves the body.
Yeah, and that's an interesting thing too, because like you said, or like she had addressed, like it's late at night. They have a very strenuous job. They're around death a lot, and I mean, people assume, because I don't even know what I believe. I assume the brain at times plays tricks on people, and then sometimes people see things that are inexplicable. And
I've
that's
been at bedside when people have died,
Mm-hmm.
and there's something that happens.
Yeah.
But this was leading to a time that I wanted to tell you about. It's been a couple of years ago. The tour then met at Jupiter House Coffee. and I was waiting on a tour. 5 men walked in who were on my tour, and they were all doubled over. They were acting like their stomach was sick, and I said, if you have the flu, no way, we're not going.
Yeah, we're not doing this.
And they said, no, we were in front of this weird house a few streets over, and as we walked past and started talking, it was like something invisible punched us in the gut, and we all got punched.
How many of them?
5 of them.
Wow.
And I said, really? Where was that? Over on Sycamore. And I said, let's go on the tour. And I took them to Sycamore Street, to a house in the middle of the block, directly opposite the courthouse here.
Okay.
It's now, I think it's called Hope Ministries. They may have changed the name, but it's Hope something.
Okay.
And it's
I know what you're talking about.
It is right beside the Pecan Street, and then there's the food bank, and there's this strange little building, and then there's a car lot.
Okay.
And then it's Elm Street.
I think I know where you're at.
Okay. That used to be a hotel called the LeBlair Hotel. So I took them there, and I told them a long story, which I won't tell tonight, but I will tell you any night out on the
tour.
On the tour, but it's a long story about what happened there. There had been at where the car lot is, a big hotel, beautiful hotel that got turned into a restaurant called La Casita.
Okay.
And in 1969, it burned down. Up above it, there were rooms that people had rented. Okay. 11 men were trapped up there when the fire started.
What year? When was this?
1969.
Okay.
1 man died, and 1 man over in the old La Casita, in the old LeBlair Hotel, died of smoke inhalation. So I told them this whole long story and all the ghostly things that happened.
Yeah.
Blah, 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 blah. And they were nodding. I said, what do you know? And they said, firemen didn't save those men, did they? I said, no, we're firemen.
Oh, wow.
And that's why they thought they got punched in the gut.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Huh.
So, and they, like the doctor said, we think, they said, we're firemen in Crum, and our station is haunted, and it's not on an Indian burial ground, and there was not a building there before. We bring it back.
I have a buddy who's now, he just recently became a fireman in Crum. That's funny. I need to ask him about that. That's insane.
They had several stories, but they said we bring it back. Because if you're a first responder and you're there at the moment of death, that person's looking up at you, and their fervent wish is that you would
do something, save them. You're the last face they see.
Yeah.
You're the last.
And you bring it back with you.
Wow.
That's crazy.
And so that's what they thought happens.
What was I had something to follow up with that too, and now why am I blanking on this? I mean, that's just insane though. That's really how many haunted hotel stories are like
a lot.
Baker, did you ever visit the Baker Motel? Where's
Mineral
that?
Wells?
Mineral Wells. Yeah,
I
you can't go
actually grew up over
inside.
there.
You
Well,
can't
aren't
go
they
inside.
remodeling it?
You
now?
can't, but you can.
Well, I don't want to
shouldn't.
get arrested
Yeah.
because I don't have bail money.
Yeah.
But,
I'm also terrified of like who lives in there, not so much the what right now.
And have you smelled the bats in Mineral Wells?
Yeah, I
They
lived
have bats,
in Weatherford.
and I'm afraid of going
Bats
inside.
have a
of it.
smell.
Well,
The bats in Mineral Wells.
But miserable smells.
it's,
That's what they call it.
it's
in high school,
guano.
Okay. Oh, okay. No, I heard they're remodeling the Baker Motel actually.
They
bringing it
try
back.
to, but
They've been trying for a really long time, but I hear that a grant has come through, and that will be so awesome because Mineral Wells is a cool little town.
Yeah.
I like to go over there, yeah, I've been to the Baker.
So okay. So you go and visit other? Do you do that like aside from the storytelling aspect? I mean, the actual research you put in. You go to the library. You fact check a lot of what you do. So I mean, you travel a lot and check out like when you're out in whatever city outside.
I used to for all those years when I was traveling around Texas, I would book at a haunted hotel when
Make
I
sure
went
you
to
go
San
check 'em out,
Antonio. I'd book.
Do you have a vlog?
No.
You should get a
Get a
vlog.
vlog. Get a
I'm
vlog.
a little old lady. I don't do vlogs.
Let Richie run your vlog.
But I did do a blog, and I will tell you that last week I went to Madisonville, Texas.
Where's that? Where's
It is on I-45.
Okay.
About halfway between Dallas and Houston.
Okay.
And I've been to them many times, but I've semi-retired from schoolwork, and they called and said, "Would you come talk to our kids?" And I said, "I don't know." They said, "We'll put you in the haunted hotel." I said, "What day?"
Let's do it.
What day? So I
What's
stayed.
the hotel? What's the story about that place?
It's called the Woodbine.
Okay.
And
do you have like a kit you bring with you, like a ghost kit?
no, I bring wine and and bubble bath.
A lot of wine. A lot of wine.
No. But the Woodbine in Madisonville was built from two Sears and Roebuck kit houses.
Oh.
Okay, that came in on the train.
Okay.
They put these two together, and carpenters connected them, top and bottom,
Right.
with a parlor.
Okay.
Okay, and
So not a very big.
it's pretty large. I mean,
It
it's
is?
two houses connected, and I had stayed there before, and I'd had an experience there
Ooh,
before.
what happened?
Well, in the room where I was in the middle of the night, I woke up to the sound of, it sounded like the house breathing. I mean, it's like it inhaled.
Like pulsating.
And I sat
almost.
up and I was listening, and I got that hair on the back of the neck feeling like somebody's listening to me,
Yeah.
listening to them, listening to me.
Mm-hmm.
I heard somebody walking. Now, the deal is, outside my door, I had a light that was motion sensitive, and all night long it had been coming on and coming off because I could see it under my door.
Yeah.
It didn't come on.
But you could hear.
And then, it was creaking back and forth, very
Right.
creaky floor. And
Old building.
yeah, old building.
Do you feel like you invite that? Like, when you come to a place, you say, "I'm the Denton ghost lady. Come talk to me." Or
No. I've been told by folks who are psychics that I'm an empath and don't know it, but now I know it, and I don't know. But I
You did quotation marks on the,
Yeah,
the psychic
Uh-huh.
thing. Is that something that you're skeptical of that too? Like mediums?
I believe, but I'm skeptical.
Right.
Because
You're realistic.
Anybody
but open to,
can call themselves psychic, and they
Right.
might be psycho.
Yeah.
But but yeah.
Yeah, if you're hearing voices, I'd like to know.
Let's get that checked.
But yeah. So that experience was really weird. So I told about it at school the next day. It was just a little short. This is what I heard. And it's such a small town that by the time 30 minutes later that I went to lunch back at the hotel, the owner came over and said, "I hear you've been telling ghost stories about my hotel."
Huh.
I said, "Is that a bad thing?" And she said, "Just a minute." She went and got this picture and plopped it down in front of me. It was a sassy-looking woman from about the 1920s.
Right.
Said, "That's Claire. She's our ghost."
Oh,
And
man.
she started telling me some stories. She said she's one of the ghosts.
Oh, I didn't need to hear
I
that.
said, "You got more?" Yeah.
Great.
So
Got a
that
Brady
evening,
bunch of spirits.
Yeah. So that evening, I get back to the hotel, and I'm, ready to sit down and read a little bit before I go to bed. And
Wine and bubble bath.
Yeah, all that stuff. And there's a tap on my door, and I'm like,
Mm-mm.
"Really?"
Mm-mm.
And I hear, "Ghost lady." Is somebody there? Yeah, ghost lady. There's
I
a
don't think
bunch
that's
of
the
us.
ghost.
Yeah, there's a bunch of us down in the saloon, and we'll buy you a beer if you'll come down, and we'll tell you our stories. I said, "Well, you can't buy me a beer because I have to talk to your children tomorrow, and I have to I have to be right in the head.
Be sharp.
But you can certainly tell me stories." So I went down, and there were about 15 people from
wow.
town, and they all had stories about times when they had stayed in that hotel and had had experiences. So this time when I went down, the woman told me, "You put that on the internet, when you were here before?
I was going to say, did they get a lot of people coming and
She
staying?
said it exploded.
I was going to say, hotel owners have to love that. You know, that there's not much bad publicity unless someone actually dies.
Yeah.
You know, like,
and I told her, I said, you owe me big time. And she said, well, here, I'll show you how to get a soda from the fountain. That's what I got for getting her. But
it's like stand-up. I do it for drink tickets.
Yeah.
So there's not a lot of.
Yeah, you do what you can.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's and yes, to your question of do I go and do that, I don't so much anymore because every weekend is taken up
With tours.
a ghost tour. But yeah, I think it's fun.
Is
to
that
go
the
and
most?
stay at places.
Is that the most paranormal experience? Is that the biggest? No, what's the biggest one?
At the Menger Hotel in San Antonio.
Why is it always hotels?
It's exactly because there's a lot of people in and out. There's a lot of you have a lot of people in.
But they don't have a 13th floor usually, so I feel like there should be no ghost stuff. Like they take measures.
But they're just a lot of them are old buildings. You have a lot
they
of different
like room
characters in and
service,
out.
okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I can agree. I mean, I'd be the same way.
So what happened at the Minger?
Oh, which time?
Oh, okay. Give me the best one. Give me the
chandelier.
Scariest moment.
Well, I got sassy with the ghost because we were my friend and I were going around ghost hunting.
Mm-hmm.
And
what does like ghost hunting consist of? What is?
Oh, it depends. That time we had a meter and we had ghost radar on the iPhone. We were drinking wine.
Right. What is the meter?
That's the main
What
thing.
is the meter supposed to be
The
picking
meter's
up?
supposed to tell you when the EMF meter reads high with the
Which
red
EMF
and the yellow and the
stands
green.
for,
I don't know what it stands for.
Okay, I didn't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Something.
I clearly don't.
It actually
Ask a
stands
ghost
for
hunter.
emitting something frequency.
Yes.
I figured frequency.
But when it goes to the higher levels, that means that there's an energy there, right?
Yeah.
So we weren't getting the responses we wanted. We got back to our room, and the key, first of all, wouldn't work. And I said, "Okay, ghost, quit playing with us." And then it worked, and we got inside, and it was like 20 degrees cooler than it had been when we were in the room before.
Ghosts are cold.
And there was the heater was on,
Yeah.
and it was cold. And my friend was just like, "Oh my gosh!" I said, "Don't worry about it." I said,
You're like, you're
"Ghost,"
with me.
I said, "Ghost, leave us alone. Go play somewhere else. I want a good night's sleep." And so we slept like the dead that night. And when we got up the next morning, I went to put on my makeup, and I had this antique suitcase that was top heavy, so I had it leaned back against the wall. And I got my makeup out of there and turned around and heard my friend scream. My makeup mirror flipped to the floor, and everything scattered. The top
Very
heavy.
aggressive ghost.
So my friend said, "I'll meet you in the car."
Right. I mean,
and
it
I
seems
pack
like
our stuff, but
seems like you've experienced both ends of the energy because there seems to be the aggressive ghost and then the playful one. Right?
That actually reminds me. Maybe you know what I'm talking about, but I went to a cavern in like Austin, I believe, somewhere like in like Marble Falls or something. But we went to this cavern, and when we get back up, my dad realizes he doesn't have his keys, and so we go and tell the guy, and he's like, "Oh man, like, where'd you lose your keys?" And we're like, "Well, we think it's back there. Can we go like look?" And it was at the very bottom of the cavern. But while we're down there, this guy says, he's like, "All right, y'all are gonna think I'm crazy, but," and it was just me and my dad and this guy that worked there, and he's like, "But I got to do something because this has happened before." And he's like, "Ghosts! Quit playing with this man's keys! Give him his keys back! This isn't funny!" And we're like,
he yelled ghosts.
Yeah, he was,
like he
no,
addressed them as a.
He was talking to them, and he said that
should-
the ghosts in this cavern have been known to tie people's shoes together and steal their keys. And so,
mischievous ghosts.
so we ended up finding
Dennis
his
the Menace
keys. We had to
is
come
haunting
back the
you.
next day in the morning, and we found his keys, and they were at the very, very bottom, and like the mid, like a place that they would just never be, unless
The ghost of Kevin McAllister from Home
the
Alone.
ghost. Yeah,
That's what it's.
but it was crazy. The guy was like, "Hey, I'm sorry, but give me 1 minute. Let me just talk to these people." And we're like,
I've just always
what's
been one of
happening?
those people that like I want something like that to happen. I just want to experience
You're not open to it
What do you mean I'm not open to it?
because you want it so bad.
So that's the issue, right?
It's just
That's
like
the-
a cat, you know.
Right, yeah, right. You gotta not give it any attention, and then it's
And-
gonna come to you.
It's like a cat in a Ouija board is the catnip.
The creepiest place I did stay was the Ouija board. Ouija. The creepiest place I have stayed, I was doing some shows in Colorado, and they had us in a bar that was called The Ranch. Now, The Ranch, this is Durango, Colorado, old mining town, like really, really creepy old buildings. And we were in the oldest building in town. It's on the main strip, you know, right where like it was essentially like a Westworld kind of situation back in the day. And it was the town's brothel back in the day. And they had us on the third story, and I'm talking huge flights of stairs. Like,
That
it
was this
tiresome. And bullet holes in the wall, and it was interesting. I mean, and every single person that lived there, because it's become like condos almost of sorts, and they just had us staying in one. And every single person that lived there swears that place was haunted. And I never saw something, but like walking up there late at night by yourself. And again, you just hear people, and I don't know if it's because I wanted to feel that way or if because I was feeling that way, you know. But it was a creepy experience.
Yeah.
So is there like, I mean, any, I guess, tiny maybe personal question? It's a very spiritual experience that with what you do. Are there any things that you do to maybe keep away said, quote, evil spirits or ghosts? Or are there any like Richie's seance kind of, are there practices you do?
Do you have garlic
that
in your
make
pockets
this-
or like some essential oils?
Vampires. Okay.
That's
a different episode.
Before I take people out, I ask blessings on
Okay.
it. Okay.
Okay.
Because I don't know what anybody else's religious beliefs are, and mine may be different from theirs. And so I just ask for blessings.
Right.
Yeah, I have some charms and such
stuff.
that I carry.
I feel like you kinda have to.
Religious and sacred.
Comes with
things.
the territory, kind of a just in case, right?
I mean, you cover all your bases.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
as you should.
And I ask
toying
people,
with the unknown.
Yeah, and I ask people at the end of the tour to help me thank the spirits out there, because
Without them, there'd be no story.
well, they left a legacy. I mean, look at this town out here.
Yeah.
This is the legacy that they left for, and we owe them thanks anyway. But yeah, they let me make a living telling stories, and people get to come and be entertained. So
And that's
I
awesome.
get everybody to thank.
It's good for you, and it's
So,
good for them.
yeah.
It's entirely. You're doing a service.
And their
You're-
memory.
You're doing what was this community was founded upon. You're entertaining.
That's right.
And
And
it's
I'm
great.
earning the money to feed the raccoons on my porch.
You got
There you
raccoons.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're crazy.
And
They're probably
ghosts.
they're scarier than ghosts. To be honest, they're scarier. All right, Shelly. Well, first off, thank you for coming on
It
today.
was a treat.
It was
Thank you
wonderful.
for having me here.
It's always fun to get something entirely different on here. Any plugs? When can people do the ghost tours? I know you
The
said
ghost
earlier.
tours will begin on each weekend again in the first weekend of April.
Okay.
And they'll run through probably the second week of November.
Awesome.
And then the little old lady will take off for winter again
Okay.
and go hibernate.
And what about the book? Where can they get the book?
The book, Ghosts of Denton, is available here at the
at the
at the
Discover
Welcome
Denton Welcome
Center.
Center. All right, awesome. Richie, plugs. What do you got coming up?
Friday night, the 2nd, I believe, February 2nd, I'll be playing at Jokes and Mirrors at Deep Ellum Arts Company in Deep Ellum, Dallas, Texas.
Awesome. I will also be there.
You will be there. I forgot.
What else?
All kinds of other stuff.
Cool.
Look out for me. Watch out for my vlog. I'm releasing a music video on Sunday, and my vlog number 3. Check that out.
Awesome. Every Thursday, as you know, I have my open mic at Killer's Tacos. Every Sunday at the Bearded Monk, both 6:30. Sign up. As Richie said, Saturday, Deep Ellum. I guess we should plug the Damn Awards. We
Yes.
were nominated for Best Radio Show.
Best Radio Show.
DentonNight.com. Go check that out. Richie was also nominated Best Producer. Me, Best Comedian, and all that good stuff. This has been Nobody Knows, brought to you by Deep Wax Productions. Look them up on Facebook. They are amazing, and they've been so kind to help us with this show. We are Nobody Knows, 5:30 every Wednesday, DentonRadio.com. Thank you, Shelly.
Thank you.
Thank you, Richie. Thank you, Jake. And everyone
you.
for watching and listening. We will be back next week. Bye, people.
Well, thank you for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed the show. Be sure to check out DentonRadio.com for new Denton artists and where they're playing next. While you're surfing the internet, make sure you check out our friends Classic of Denton at ClassicofDenton.com.